So in Bootstrap components, so we learned about few components like, so the components we discussed in Bootstrap. How we can use alerts, and one more we discussed about how to use cards. These are Bootstrap components actually. In the Bootstrap components, so we learned about working with alerts and cards. And one more, I showed you buttons also. How do we work with buttons, right? Now, few more important components I will explain. Then others you can try by yourself. Once you know the basic of components, how to implement them, there are so many components you can implement, you can customize by yourself. Okay. So how to do that, I will show you how to get information and how you can explore by yourself. I will show you. Let's see other components, some important how to work with them. Alerts, cards, and buttons. These are the previous topics we discussed. Today, we will see how we can use forms. You need to know forms. Bootstrap forms related some important classes. Actually, when you are designing a form have a lot of controls, buttons, text box, checkbox, radius, list box. Already for buttons, we know. Already for buttons, we saw the classes yesterday. For forms, some important classes you need to know. We have classes called form label. This is the class used for label. You have HTML label element. In HTML, there is a label element. For label element, we have to use a form label. I will show you. Similarly, we have form control. Form control is a class which is used for inputs like text box, like password, like number, like date, like email, URL. Lot of inputs are there. So these all inputs are defined by using what? Control. Form control we have to use. That is the class used for text box, passwords, numbers, date, and all this. We have a class called form select. This is used for, this is for drop downs. We have a select element. For drop downs and list boxes, we use form select. We have form range. This is used for input type range. You know, in HTML, there is input type range. For input type range, you can use this range. And you have form check input. Form check input. This is used for radio and checkbox. For radios and checkbox, we can use form check input. And for radios checkboxes, we have form switch also. Form switch. This form switch is used for designing a radio and checkbox as switch. We can change the appearance of radio and checkbox as switch. By using form switch, we can do that. So these are some important classes that are used for designing good forms. You want to create a good form. For that, these are the classes required. Label, control, select, range, input, check input, and switch. Some problem. Yep. Yeah. Let's continue. Right. Just a problem in the connection got. Yep. Is it clear to everyone now? Yep. Fine. Let's continue. So here I am designing a form, register user. And in this, we are designing a container. Traditionally, how to design a form you might have learned in HTML. Traditionally, the form is designed with categories. Every category is kept in a div. In that category, we will have a label. Label contains some name, user name. And for this label, under this label, a div to enter username, a element. Element is input type as text. That's how we design. This is one container. Similarly, we have to design another container div. In the div, we have label. This is for some password. And under that div, we have input type is what the password. Password. This is another. Now scroll next container div. This will have a label. Suppose I say city. And under that a div with a drop down. So with an option, you know how to design drop down. So your city. And in that I'm giving like some Delhi. So giving some Hyderabad like this. Okay. Suppose here I am creating another div and this is label. Suppose I am selecting some age. So and here I am defining a div. This time I am using input type as range. I am using a range. Okay, now I am creating another container div. In this, we will put a label subscribe. Okay, and for this, I will keep a div. In that, we will put input type is equal to checkbox. I'm using a simple checkbox with a label just to say yes. Now, below this, we will keep a button. We will add a another container. And in this container, we will keep a button, say register. Now, this is a simple page that we designed. Now, let's see the output of this page, how it looks like. So let's run this page and see traditional HTML form I have designed. A simple traditional HTML form, it looks like this. Now, this form, I will keep it correctly center on page. For that, the main, I will give a class. Yesterday, we learned deflex. We have justify content center. So we can use align items center. So you can keep some style with the height as some 500 pixel. Now this is going to keep your form. For the form also I will put a class border and border primary and we have border 1 and padding 2 and just rounded. So rounded 2 like this I define. Now this is a simple form we are having. Now in this form, the appearance of the form should be good. I want to give a good clean appearance for that. Bootstrap provides separate classes for them. First thing is generally there are so many categories like username, password, city. Every category must have some gap. Then traditionally what we do is this is username category. For this, we will put a class margin bottom some 2 or 3. Same I will apply for every category. Password margin bottom 3. City margin bottom 3. Age also same. Subscribe also same. And you can see you will have some good space. Now here keeping the width. Suppose this is the form. For form, I will keep style. I will give width. Width for form as some 300 pixel. Then form looks little broad. Now we need to give good appearance for labels. So in Bootstrap, for labels, you have a special class. You see, we will put a class for label as form label. Form label. Form label is the class used for labels, and you can see it looks like this. Now you can observe this have some gap between the control. Form label is going to display some space. Here it is not there because form label will give some space. Okay. So now for every label, we will apply this class. So we will apply this class for every label. Password label, city label. For every label, wherever you have a label, use that class. And you can see now when I apply that class, automatically some space will be there between every field. So for labels, what is the best one? For labels, you can give form label. Okay. Now we have text box password. For text box and passwords, you can use form control. So currently you can see this is how a text box and password looks like. Now we will go to the code here. Wherever text box is there, then we can apply a class called form control. And you can see that this text box changes little bit now. That is how a text box looks like. Now this is not defined. This is defined, right? Now I will add the same for password also. Which one? For password also form control. Form control is, and it is displayed password also like this. For drop downs, we have to use a class called form select that is used for drop downs. Drop downs will have a special class. This is for drop down. So this is for name. So, and this is for password, and this is for drop downs. Wherever text box, passwords, numbers, date inputs come, you put a form control. Wherever drop down list box come, you put a form select. And what is this one? Age, range. For range, we have to put a control here, class. We have to put a form range. Form range is used for that. And you can see it looks like this now. The appearance little bit changes for that. That is for form range. Now see, this is checkbox. For checkbox, what is the class? Usually for checkbox, we put a class called form check input. This is the class for checkbox. And you can see this is there. You see checkbox is like this. And you can select the checkbox. But we have a modern look for checkbox. What you can do is where you kept the checkbox for that container, you can apply form switch. If you apply form switch, then automatically this checkbox turns to a switch like this. that turns to a switch. This is a new look for checkboxes. Checkboxes, radios, you can turn them into switches. For that, we need to just apply this class. We need to configure that. Just what you have to do, mention as form switch. If form switch is not there, then the checkbox looks like this. Checkbox and radios will be normal checked. If you give form switch, then it is going to display in a switch style. Switch style. And of course, buttons, you know. How do we define the class for button? Class BTN, BTN primary, and W100. It will keep the button to full width. This is how traditionally we create a form. So for displaying forms, we have a good set of classes so that we can make the presentation of forms in a better way. For that, forms are very common. Forms are very important. Any technology you may be working, Java, .NET, anywhere, designing and working with forms is important. Register, login, everywhere. So these classes are very helpful for making the forms in a better way. For labels, we have this class. For text box passwords, we have form control, drop downs and list boxes, form select. Even for range, we have input, form range, and check boxes. We have form check input. To give a switch like appearance for radios and checkbox, you can use form switch. These are the elements used for forms. I will give this example to you. Let me copy this example. And this is a simple example to understand how to design forms. Traditionally, when we design forms, we follow this approach. Means we put divs and we put labels. Under the labels, we put the controls correctly. This is the traditional approach of designing a form. You can design in any way, right? Now, another specialty here in Bootstrap, while working with forms and dealing with forms, you will come across with another very important input groups. In Bootstrap, while working with forms, another very popular one is input groups. Actually, input group is used for designing inline forms. Inline forms. Inline forms means a form look like combined in one line. For example, you see inline forms like we have Amazon. You look at Amazon and you can see Amazon have a search bar. You can see this is Amazon search bar. This is a form. In this Amazon search bar, what are the options we are having? This is a drop down. This is a text box. And this is a icon button. And how it looks like combined, all combined in one line, attached to each other. This is called input group. We call this as input group. We can design this type of input group very easily. For example, you see not only here, suppose Netflix. When I open Netflix, you can see some Netflix page. In the Netflix page, you can see this is also an input group. You can see email address and get started. We can create such things easily. How to create? Let's see one simple example. For that, what are the classes required? Input group. Input group, we have two important basic classes. Input group, another one, input group text. Only these two are enough. If you want larger, we can try input group. We can try input group LG. LG is for large. These are the three basic classes which are enough to design such inline forms. Actually, this is Bootstrap 5. In earlier Bootstrap versions, there are so many different options available. In Bootstrap 5 also, current latest release is 5.3. In 5.3, they made some new changes. So 5 and 5.3 small changes are there. Some classes they removed, some classes they deprecated. So you need to be aware of them. You can see in their official website, I will show you. That means which class is removed and which class is newly added. You need to get updated, right? So earlier we used to have a lot of classes for this, but in modern Bootstrap 5, we have simple 3 classes which can manage. What are those? Let's see how to create input groups. So let's try to design an Amazon bar. Let's see, I will put a heading, Amazon search. Okay. Now you have seen Amazon search. First put a container. Container is div. In Amazon search, you saw 3 controls are there. Left side, you have a drop down. In the drop down, we have option called all. So in that option have like mobiles. So option like some fashion, all these things. After drop down, you saw there is a text box. Input type is what? Text. In the text, we have a placeholder called search in Amazon. Search in Amazon. And after that text box, you saw there is a button. This button is having a icon. Icon I will put BI what? Search. Actually, these are the elements we are having. These are the elements we are having. Now we need to make appearance of these elements same like Amazon search. It's very simple. For text box, we will put a class called form select. This is form control. And for button, we will put a class btn warning. That is the button class. And I will leave the select normal. I don't want lengthy. I want it normal. Okay, I am not applying any effect for this, but you see now it looks like this. And we need to apply the warning. So BTN and BTN warning, it will apply BTN warning. Now see here, I need all 3 look like combined to each other. Then simple, you make sure that all 3 are kept in one container. Then for that container, apply a class called input group. That's it. Automatically, all 3 look like this. Now this is like input group. Now in this input group, this left side, I want to highlight this. If you want to highlight anyone in an input group anywhere, right side, left side, anywhere, just you have to give a class called input group text. Input group text will highlight that and it will display in this way. That means now this is traditional Amazon search bar. That means it looks like combined, all are combined with each other. That is Amazon search. This we designed by using input group. Suppose you see now, let's create. Suppose I am using here Netflix. Netflix. How Netflix is there? First create a container. In that input type is email. They have email. And for email, they have a placeholder. So in the placeholder, your email address like this. After email, they have a button. This button is having a word called get started. After that, they have a icon, class BI chevron right. That is chevron right icon. Actually, this button will have a class BTN danger. This text box will have a class form control for text box, email, form control. And you see these 2 must be combined. Then we have to apply a class. What is it? Input group. And you can see it looks like this. This is Netflix. That is how the Netflix form looks like. This is called input group. We can create such inline forms by using input. You can see this in many occasions. Actually, sometimes when you design registration forms, for example, see here, verify account, something like this. And here I am giving a div. I will put a span. This span will have a class bi key fill. And I will put a text box. Input type is equal to text. This is like some password. And here we will put a placeholder, your password. Like this I am adding. And you see, usually there is a button also. And this is verify. Button have a class, some btn and btn some success, like this. And for email password type, we will put a class called what? Form control. And this is a text. Then text should be applied with a class called input group text. And these all must be in a class called, we will put a class here, input group. Input group is the class, input group. And you can see it looks like this. This is how input group looks like. That means we have verify account, and you can see it shows a key symbol here. And it is asking for password, and it is showing here verify button. This is input group. You will see a lot of registration forms. They have an icon left, they have an icon right combined. Generally, you will observe some registration forms right side. They will put a tick mark, red cross mark according to the user input. When user types the correct username, it says tick mark. Otherwise, it will be red cross mark. Dynamically, you can change such things using JavaScript and jQuery. But we need to make them look like combined. That you can do by using what? Input group. Input group is very much specialized in designing such forms. Ordinary forms and inline forms. Inline forms are designed by using input group. This is another example for them. And if you want large size, you can apply LG. For example, this Netflix, I want little large. Then what you do for Netflix, wherever you defined input group, you can add, what is it? Input group what? LG. If you add input group LG, then it will be little larger size. Button will be larger, text box will be larger. You can define this kind of effect. This is basically a simple example of input group. I hope you are clear. So how to design forms and how do we design the input groups? How we can create the input groups. Another important, very popular in Bootstrap is model. Models, carousels, we will see them. Models are used for designing pop-ups. Yesterday you saw alerts. Alerts are embedded message boxes. You can close them. But models are pop-ups. They can pop up on the screen and they can show you information. For designing models, we have a set of classes. We have to use model. So we have model dialog. We have model content, and model have a section, model section, a model head. So model header. So model body and model footer, model header, model body and model footer. Model header, model body, model footer. These are very important for designing models. But actually, models are not by default displayed. You might have learned in HTML. In HTML, there is an element called dialog. Dialog is an element in HTML, and that element will not display on screen until or unless you apply an attribute called open. When you put open attribute, then only dialog will open. I hope you learned that in HTML. You know that dialogs will not come actually. For example, see here, suppose I am writing a simple, here I am writing a dialog. In the dialog, I am saying chat with our help desk. Something like this I define. Now you can see that the dialog is not there on the screen because you know in HTML, dialog requires an attribute called open. When you apply open, then dialog will open and display. They are not by default displayed. You have to open them, right? Actually, models are like that. You write models, they will not display. We have to pop them up. We need to control them. Actually, for that, we need to use some classes. Let's see how. For example, how to create dialogues. Here, I will show you how to create dialogues. Means how do we create models? Model. For that, we need to use these classes. These are the classes. See how I am designing. Suppose I am creating a button called login. And this have a class btn primary. Now under this login button, let's create a div. This div will work like a dialog. Then we have to use a class called model. Model is a class which is used for designing dialogues. In the model, we have to create a container called model dialog. This order is also important. Dialog only can pop up and close. It can open and close. Inside the dialog, you have to put the content. Content is kept as model content. Model content. In the content, there are three sections. We have to design sections. One is model header. Another section is, so we have class model body. Another section is, we have model footer. We have three sections: model header, model body, and model footer. Now, what to display in header? In header, I will put a heading, user login. And in the header, I will put a button. This button will have a class btn close, close button. And in the body, what you want? In the body, temporarily, I will keep data list, say username. And here we will put a text box. Input type is text. And what is the class for this? Form control. Wherever you are designing the form, you can try these now. We have password, and for password data definition, input type is password. And we have a class as what? Form control. Form control. Now here we are keeping, this is body. In the footer, we are keeping a button login. And we will put a class btn and btn some primary. And another button, we will keep another button class btn danger, and we will put as cancel. Cancel. You designed a model with a lot of sections inside. Model, model dialog, model content, in the content header, body, footer. But as I told you, this model is never displayed in the page. The model is not displayed in the page. We need to open the model, pop up. We need to open the model. When that model should, remember, in a page, there can be so many models. You can have a lot of models in a page, not one. Like this, you can design lot of models. Now, in that case, if you want to open this model, every model needs an ID. Every model needs an ID. ID for this is login. Okay. When this model should open, it should open when user clicks the login button. Now click event is written by using data bs toggle. Data bs toggle, it refers to click. It refers to click. That means you don't need to write any event. Data bs toggle indicates on click what should happen. On click what should happen. So on click what should happen? It should open this model. That means on click it should target this model. So on button click, how to write button click? Data bs toggle. This is data bs toggle. Is target. Data bs target indicates it refers to id, which model you want to open. It refers to the id. That means you have to define one more. What is it? No, id reference is defined with hash, class reference defined with dot, right? Now this is login. Okay, now see what will happen here. That means we define target and toggle. Now you see what happens is I click on login button, it should pop up. It will open a model pop-up. These are pop-ups. Alerts are different, models are different. Models are different. And currently, this model should close when user clicks cancel or close button. Right? And one more, it is currently it uses backdrop. Backdrop means you click anywhere outside, it will close. It will close. Actually, now what we are doing here, if you want to close, then you can write logic like this. Data bs dismiss. Yesterday we saw na? Data bs dismiss is used for closing. That means now you have to define here like this. That means when it should close, when close button is clicked, we have to write data bs dismiss. Dismiss. Which one to dismiss? Model. Same should happen on cancel button also. Then for cancel button also I can write data bs dismiss. Dismiss what? Model. Now see what happens here. When you click on this login, it pops up. And when I click close or cancel, it will close. And observe carefully, pop-up is very fast. It is very fast pop-up. You can apply a class called, you can apply class fade. Fade is a transition effect. If you apply fade effect, it will be slowly opening that. It will not be fast, right? It's just an effect. You can add the effect. Model can have an effect called fade. Model can have an effect called fade. And you can see when I put fade, I click login, it slowly comes. That means it will fade into the screen. And I click on cancel, it will go. This is the fading effect you can control further. In a page, there can be so many models. There can be so many models. For a different purpose, we can keep a model. For example, see, yesterday we copied some images. Suppose I'm writing here another button. Let's keep another button. This button will have a view course, right? And I will put a class btn and btn success. Okay. Now on this view course button click, I want to open the course details and show pop-up. A pop-up should come. It's very simple. You can design another model. We finished a model here. We will create another div. This is referred as what? Model. But this ID is course. Any name you can give. So here, how to design a model? Every model should contain a dialogue. That means you should design a model dialogue. Dialogue. In the model dialogue, you have to keep model content. That means we will put a class model what? Content. In the model content, we will keep a header div class. What is it? Model header. And here I will put a heading. So like UI technologies, that is the heading. And we want to put a close button. Then what we have to do? btn what? Close. And below this, we will keep model body. In the model body, I will just keep an image. Or yesterday we learned we can try so many techniques. Actually, what I can do, I will put a div. In this, I will put a class row. Yesterday we learned grid, right? So we will put a class column. This column is 4 and another div. So this class column is what? 8. And what we will do here, we will put an image is class. Image is having src. Src is, it is ui.jpg. We have a jpg. Width I defined as, width I defined as some 200 and height defined as 200. And beside that, I am creating some information, ordered list item, some HTML, so CSS, so Bootstrap, we have like JavaScript, all these things we define something. This is a model with just header and body. There is no footer there, just header and body. Okay. Now this model should open when user clicks the second button. That means what is the option we have to write? Data BS target. Target is equal to hash. Hash what? Course. That is the ID reference given for the model. That is the ID reference we given for this model course. And what it should do? Toggle. We have to write, what is it? Data BS what? Toggle. Toggle is what? Model. The toggle indicates which component. And ID is defined by using target. Now you can see here. So I click on view course, then it should open that details. So you are having some width. So close, we haven't written all these things. So I will just keep it 100 pixels width. Fine. And I haven't written any close for this. What we have to do? Data BS dismiss what? Model. We have to dismiss model, and we want some fading effect. We can set as what? Fade. I can define as fade. Then when user clicks view course, it will open those details. It will display those details. And close, it will be close. Login, it will display. And close, this is login and this is view course. So we are adding that fade. So where is model? Model is defined with the fade, right? So once you apply these effects, and it will display like this. Now, this is the basic of models. These kind of models you will see regularly in websites. And actually, to design the models, these are some important basic classes required. So actually, some alignments, effects are there. Some new classes are there. Those all I am not giving here. Just basic design I will give here. Others you explore. Where to explore, I will show you now. At the end, I will show where to explore, right? This is just to make you understand what are models, how these models will work, and where they are exactly used. Okay, right. So what are the important attributes you need? Toggle, another one, target. So this is very popularly used concept models. This is example. I will copy this example for you. This is models, bootstrap models. So bootstrap forms, bootstrap cards, bootstrap buttons, bootstrap input groups, bootstrap models. These are all rich components, right? You have another important is carousel. Carousel components. Carousel components are used for creating sliding and scrolling banners in the page. Slideshow. You want to create a slideshow of contents. It's not just only banners. You can put anything. Even text also can scroll, right? Carousels are used for creating sliding and scrolling banners like content in your page. For that, again, so many classes are there. Actually, carousel have a lot of divisions. I will show you. Actually, to create a carousel, we have carousel means these are basic classes. Basic classes. We have basic classes. One is carousel. We have carousel inner, and we have carousel item. That's it. These are simple classes. These are the basic classes for designing a carousel. We have carousel, carousel inner, and carousel item. And attributes, basic attributes, we have data bs ride. Data bs ride. Data bs ride is a basic attribute. This is used to start. This is actually to start animation. To start animation, we have to use data bs ride. Data bs ride. Now let's see how basic will work. Basic carousel works. Let's see. I will for this we need some banners. Let's take Amazon. This is a Amazon website. Let's copy their banners, right? I will copy the slides from this. So this is Amazon, and let's create these banners. Yeah, I will open a snip. Means I am capturing these images. The images, what are there? Let me capture. So I will take a new, and I am capturing this part. Means I am copying the slides. Okay. Yeah. So this part I am capturing. This slide I am capturing. This is one slide. Okay. I copied that slide, and let me save that slide. That is the slide I copied there. You see, that is the slide. I'm using a snipe tool in my Windows. In Windows, you have a snipe tool. You can use it. I'm capturing that part, and let me save here. So it should be in our Bootstrap workshop public folder. I will give the name as slide 1. Slide 1 JPG. Okay. Right. Next, let's take another one, new. And let me capture the second image here. This is the second image I am capturing. Second image I am capturing. And let's save this image also. Like that, if you have few set of images, then you can easily handle them. This is the second image, save. Let's take 2-3 images like that, then it will be fine. This is slide 2.jpg. Okay. Now let's take another picture here and take a new, and let's capture the third picture also. So this is another slide. I will copy this. Yeah. And I will save this image also. So these are some banners I captured from the same Amazon site. So let's just use this banners and display in our page. We will try to display in our page. Now this is also saved. Yeah. Let's save this as slide 3. Slide 3. Okay. These are enough. We have 3 slides. So we captured these 3 slides and let's keep them here. Now I want to display those here. That means we want to create some sliding banners. Let's do that. I will create a simple. Here I will create. This is our HTML page. I will create a simple container div. In this container, we want to display those sliding banners. Then we will just put a class called carousel. It is a class. And every carousel, there can be so many carousels in a page. So every carousel can have an ID. ID for this carousel, I will give as top banner. Top banner is the ID for that. Okay. Now inside carousel, we have to keep items. So we need to put a container called class carousel inner. Carousel contains carousel inner. Inside inner, we need items. Every item is kept in a container. This is referred as class carousel item. In this item, I want to display image. For image source is, it is which one? Slide 1.jpg. And we will keep here class as W100, that means width 100, and D block. We will put D block. D block is nothing but it will keep the content separated so that any text will not come beside it. It will come below. Sometimes we write terms, conditions below that images. We need to keep them below. It's not necessary. If you want any terms, conditions to write below images, you need to keep as block. Okay. Like this, how many items we need? 3 items we need. This is second item, 2, slide 2. This is third item, slide 3. Remember, in this, not only image, you can put text, forms, anything you want. It's not like you have to put only image. Now, once you kept this, it's okay. But your carousel is not working. There is no image. Why there is no image? Because first important, you should know that every carousel item requires an active class. Active indicates one item must be active. One item must be active. That means which slide you want to keep active. One item must be active. So I will go to the first item. For this, we will put a class called active. First item is active. When first item is active, it will display like this. That means one image is present, but it is not moving. It is not moving. Animation is not applied. To apply animation for carousel, we have to write a effect called data BS ride. Data BS ride the carousel name we have to define. That means this carousel should start animation. It should start animation. Data BS ride will start animation for the carousel. Once the animation started, that means these will change like this. That means now you can see the images are changing. But images are changing, but it's not so satisfying changing, because you can see that at a blink, another slide is coming. It is not continuing. At a blink, another slide is coming. That is because for carousels, we have to use an attribute called slide. We have to use an attribute slide. Then the carousels become slide. That means now they look better in animation. They will not blink. That means they will continue to slide one after another. That means now you can see the carousels are sliding, the images are changing. For that, you need to add one more important class. What is it? Slide. So it defines sliding animation, animation for carousel. So this is the basic carousel. This is the basic carousel, and you can see these slides are changing. If you want to control this carousel manually, that means previous, next. You see, generally for carousels, they will give previous button, next button. That we call as, this is basic classes. We have control classes. We have control classes. We have special classes for designing controls. We have control related classes. So actually we have carousel control. We have carousel control previous. We have carousel control previous icon. We have carousel control next. And we have carousel control next icon. It depends, because everybody in every situation, they don't want controls. They just put sliding banners, they will be changing. But in some websites, we want to control. User can see what is the previous one, what is the next one. So for that, we need these carousel controls. How to design these controls? Let's see. To design the controls here, after you design the carousel inner, after you created the inner, here, create one button category here. This is one button. What is this button? This button is, what is the button? Class carousel control. Which button? Previous. What should be the icon for that button? Button should have an previous icon. So we will put a span. What is it? Class carousel. So carousel control previous what? Icon. Similarly, you need another button for which purpose? Carousel control what? Next. This is which icon? Next icon. These are controls. And when you design these controls, you can see the controls are ready. That means left side a control is there and right side a control is there. Carousel controls are ready. Earlier we don't have these controls, but these controls are currently not working. They are not working. Carousel controls are there, but those controls are not working. And important is actually, if you are using bright images to make the controls good visible, they have a class called, you can apply for carousel. You can apply carousel dark. You can apply carousel dark. Carousel dark, if you apply, these buttons will be darker, so that on bright images you can clearly see the buttons. You can see the buttons easily. Depending on what kind of image background you are using, you can apply carousel dark. Now these buttons are not working. Only animation is working. These buttons are not working. We need to make these buttons work. Then what we have to do, so we can put a class here, carousel what? Dark. That is for dark theme. If you want to put a dark theme, you need to put. Here we have attributes. Attributes are nothing but data BS have slide. We have previous. This is to navigate to previous, and data BS slide to what? Next. So for next button, this one. And very important, which carousel previous next? Which carousel previous next? You have to mention data BS target ID, whatever banner, because for every carousel you need an ID. For which carousel you have to define the ID you need to configure. So which carousel, the ID you need to define. So what you do here, let's go to the design. Here we need to write here data BS, not toggle, data BS slide, data BS slide. What is it? Preview, that is previous. Now what is the target here? Data BS target. Target is equal to hash the carousel ID. Carousel ID is top banner na? Top banner, that is the ID I given for the carousel. Now what about this button? This button should work data BS. BS what? Target. What is it? Is top banner. And data BS slide. Slide where? Slide next. Slide previous, slide next. Now these are the carousel buttons and with some functionality now. Now what happens here? They have some animation changing. You click on previous, then it will get previous. You can click on next, it will get the next. You can change to next and previous. You click on them and it is changing to the previous and the next. So it continuously changes to the previous and next we can define. But sometimes what, this is okay, this is working fine. But sometimes we show slideshow of several photos and user should able to navigate to directly specific photo. That means here currently user can navigate only to next and previous. Suppose I want to go to 7th one, 5th one, 8th one directly. Then we have an habit of designing another is we have indicator classes. We have indicator classes. Carousel indicator classes will be there. Carousel indicators allows you to navigate to any specific slide. For that we have to use carousel indicators. You have to use carousel indicators class. There is a carousel indicators class. And for that we need to use an attribute. Attribute is data BS slide 2. Slide 2, we have to mention index number. First item index number is 0. And second item index number is 1, 2, 3 like that, depending on how many are there. Now, how to design these indicators? Let's see. So another important, these indicators also need an active. Active is compulsory for indicators. How to design indicators? Let's see. Just what you do is below this, I will put another container div. In this container, how many pictures are there? 3. I will put 3 buttons. This is button 1, this is button 2, and this is button 3. 3 buttons are there. And you can see this, I will give a class as carousel. Carousel what? Indicators. Carousel indicators. When you define carousel indicators, then you can see indicators will come here. But they are not having indicators good appearance because functionality is not given. We will give functionality. How to give the functionality here? We have to write the functionality. Data BS slide 2. Data BS slide 2. What? 0. Which one? Data BS target. Target is home. Top banner. That is top banner. You have to write like this. What about the second button? Second button also same. It is slide to 1. What about the third button? It will slide to 2. And what about first button? It will have a class active, compulsory. Then you can see, then it can see indicators also ready. Indicators also ready. Now these indicators allow you to navigate to any location directly. That means data BS slide 2, carousel indicators, some issue is here. Now it is okay. It's not loaded yet, right? Because we are using CDN. CDN links will be little delay in loading the content. Okay, fine. Now you can see I click on first one, it will come to first. I click on third one, it will come to third. We can directly navigate to any location and we can go. That is done by using indicators. You can click on any indicator directly, that will come. So you can add directly to any location. Any location. You can see slight changes in height for that. That is because I haven't captured all even heights, right? You have to keep correct height for all of them, then it will be fine. This is basically how the carousels are created. So carousel indicators and carousel controls. There is one more technique. They are automatically changing. You can set time intervals. So carousel intervals are there. Carousel interval is nothing but, so if any slide you want to move fast, if any slide you want to stay long, so then you can set interval. So we can set interval. Actually, for items, we define like that. Actually, this is the item. This is carousel item, second item. For example, we can add, so we can add data BS interval. Data BS interval here, how many milliseconds? I said 3000 milliseconds. 3000 milliseconds means 3 seconds. 3 seconds, the first one will be. What about the second one? Data BS interval. Second one should be only 1 second, fast. And what about the third one? Data BS interval, I will say 5 seconds, 5000 milliseconds. We are deciding the time of this. Now you see, this will stay for 3 seconds. Second one is very fast. Third one is staying long. First one is 3 seconds. Second one is only 1 second. It is very fast. Third one is more. You can control the timing of that. The timing you can control by using data BS interval. So how you can design the timing? We can set the timings, right? Timings can be defined by using what? Data BS interval is equal to how many milliseconds? 1000 millisecond means equal to what? 1 second. It is equal to 1 second. Right. This is carousels. How we can create carousel? Means, example, part by part we design, but together it is complete concept like this. This is how we create. Right? Part by part I explained. First, how to put a basic carousel. Second, how to add controls for that. Third, how to add indicators for that. That is what. And as I told you, you can put anything. For example, see what I am doing here. Suppose I am adding one more item. I will add one more item here. Carousel item. And this is suppose 5000 milliseconds. And here I am defining. Here I am defining a simple heading. I am defining a heading. That means you can keep a div inside it. And here heading is register with us. So for more offers, something like this. And we just kept a button as registered. And we kept the class BTN and BTN primary like this. And I added some BTN LG. LG is large. And here I kept a class dflex. So if you are keeping dflex, make sure that it is in a div. Okay. And we are keeping dflex and we say justify content center. Like this I am defining. And see what happens. This time, according to that, we need one more. How many we need indicators? Three indicators we need. This is 2 and this is what? 3. And you can see actually this is text, and you can see the second one, third one. This is a normal text. We can have ordinary text also. So we need to keep its height. Height is not defined for that. So I need to keep the height. That means for the item div where we displayed this, I just added a style. Some height is equal to some 200 pixel, 250 pixel like height I defined. That means the text will be displayed like this there. You can keep horizontal center, vertical center. Vertical center means what? So align items what? Center. Align items center. That means you can see these will be displayed. You can have ordinary text also there, not that only images. You can keep any content there and you can define. Right? So this is one simple example. That means how you can manage. That's the example of working with carousels. Right? So carousels are very popular. So we have carousels to use and you can try these carousels. Okay. So we have models, we have pop-ups, we have carousels, and we have some options simple, like very popularly seen is you have drop downs. Very popular is drop down. For that we have drop down. So we have like drop up, we have like drop end, you have like drop start. These are various options. We have like drop down menu, drop down menu. Yeah, drop down menu, and we have like drop down item. These are drop downs. Very recently these drop downs changed. You keep in touch features into this drop down. They removed some old features and added some new things into this. But basically drop down is a drop down have a drop down toggle. Drop downs are very popular because one of the problem with your HTML drop downs is HTML drop down will not allow any icons, symbols, and graphics inside them. HTML drop downs are RC data type. They will not allow any complex content inside them. Actually, now what you can do here. So suppose you want to create a drop down, like you can see, suppose I'm adding a drop down like this. You see, I'm using a heading. Yeah. Suppose select, this is drop down. Okay. I will show you here a select one. This is select. In the select, we have an option. This option says language. And we have an option here. So English like this. And you want to display any language. You see, actually, I want to put a symbol beside it. Right? Usually you see such things in Netflix. You can see in the Netflix page, you can see this is a symbol. And this is not a HTML dropdown, because HTML dropdown will not allow that. HTML dropdown will not allow that. That means you can't put symbols like that. That is not a HTML dropdown. You see, for this option, we will put a span. In the span, this is what? Language. And in the span, we are using class bi globe. And you can see that it is unable to show it. It cannot show that because these icons, symbols are not allowed here. Then what you have to do is you have to create a drop down through Bootstrap. If you want such navigations, icons inside drop down, just we have to create a div. In this div, we have to create a class. What is it? Drop down. Drop down needs an ID. ID is like some menu. Okay. And this drop down usually will have a button. This drop down button here, we can put a language. And here we will put a span. So class BI and BI some globe, like this I define. For this button, we have a class BTN, some BTN dark. And you can see usually it looks like this. That means it is a Bootstrap drop-down class defined. It will look like this. Now I want to make it look like a drop-down. Then actually we need to add a class for this as drop-down toggle. Drop-down toggle is the class which is going to add a drop-down like this. Menu will come down. That is actually drop-down toggle. This is what generally Netflix or anybody is using. HTML drop-downs will not allow such icons. Now in this, what we have to do is, below this, we need to create a container. We will create a div. This will be a actually container. If you are defining items, you can try like this. We can put another list item. This list item is having like English, and it is having another list item, suppose Hindi. Then you can try Google Translate. So Google Translate, Google Translate. In this Google Translate, I will type Hindi and it will get me that lipi and copy this. And let's go here and paste it here. That is just the language we are displaying there. Now I want this as a menu under that. That means under the drop down, we want to display like a menu. That means we need to define that as a menu in the drop down. Let's see how we can create a menu in the drop down. So we have to put this as class as drop down menu. This is drop down menu. And inside this, these are defined with class as drop down item. These are drop down items. We configured them as drop down items. And very important is this menu should open when user clicks this button. So what we have to do, we have to use data BS toggle. Toggle what? Drop down. They have to toggle drop down. They should toggle drop down to toggle. And you see here, I click on this. That means when we click on this, it should open that menu. We have to open that and display. This is actually a drop down. This is a drop down usually seen. Colors, everything you can put BG dark, BG. That is what they changed very recently. Actually, they used to have a called drop down menu dark actually. So they have a drop down menu dark. That is the class they used to have there. It is working. They officially announced like from next release, we are removing this. That dark is not available. From the next release, we are removing. You can see there. This is the official website. This is getbootstrap.com. Such warnings you need to keep in mind because you can't blindly try what you learned 10 days back or 20 days back or 1 month, 2 months back. Sometimes they will be changing very frequently. You need to keep in touch with that website. So what changes they are making, what changes are happening. Okay. So get Bootstrap, let's check into this. Yeah, in this you see now, they say that new version is there 5.3. And in that they are doing some changes. This is very new version actually. To explore more, you do this. Go to documents, docs. In the documents, you will find the components which I showed you. These are all components. Because in the workshop, I can't discuss about all. I explained you few basic regularly used components. Other you can explore by yourself. I will go to here, drop downs. You can see this is drop down, and how to design different drop downs they will give here. And here you can see in the details, they have a lot of options and say deprecated warning is there. Dark drop downs, deprecated warning means we are going to remove this. Deprecated warning only currently. That means they are going to remove this. That means they are saying that this drop down menu dark, don't try this anymore. Use this with a new concept called data BS theme as what? Dark. Right? So, but still currently it is working. Deprecation warning means in future releases, we are going to change this. We are going to completely remove. Currently it is okay, fine, it is working. But when that future release, we don't know. Tomorrow itself, it may come, right? So we don't know. We are not sure about when they are going to release exactly, because once it is ready, they will immediately release, and you cannot use the old options anymore. Right? Actually, if you are working with Bootstrap 4, Bootstrap 5 like versions, make sure in your companies, if they are using Bootstrap 3 or 4, lot of changes are there. That means so many changes. Actually, in Bootstrap 5, what we done for attributes, we used data BS target. Am I right? We are using data target in older version. Below Bootstrap 5, it is data target. From Bootstrap 5 onwards, it is data BS target. BS target. These kind of changes are common because when you are following tutorials, videos on YouTube or somewhere, so sometimes you will be following old content somebody uploaded 10 years back, 5 years back, and you try them now with the new library, they will not work. Right? You need to check which version you are using, which version library you are referring to. That's very important. Okay. Now here I explained you few components, all different types of components, and all other components. You see other components. I explained card, carousel, close button, drop downs, models. I explained about this alerts and these buttons, button groups. I explained a carousel, right? These things I explained, and others you try. You have to try, right? Accordions. So breadcrumbs, they are very simple. You can try them easily. Nav bars and all, you have to try this. And these drop downs and all, because they are very common in websites, I showed you these options. In websites, another basic common thing is actually, let me So generally, spinner different types are available. You can apply them. Actually, spinners are nothing but they are used for showing the status of any task performed. Visit the official website, you can get the information